Hello, everybody. Welcome. Aren't you lot getting sick of me this week? I don't even care because I'm so excited. We made an announcement this morning about Be Inspired and Be Heard, the Pro program. We made an announcement. I say we. I did a post yesterday about the royal we. When I talk about IATQB, when I talk about anything that I create, it's never just an I. It's never just an I situation, because the team that I have behind me and the team that I have on hand to support everybody that gets involved with Be Heard, Be Inspired programs, there's loads of us. You get so much support. It's like a big hug. So when I say we, I really do mean we. Announced this morning extended payment plans for Be Inspired and Be Heard Pro. So in all of the conversations that I've been having now at this particular point in time, more than most, people are feeling that real pull around money. So in terms of the offer itself, in terms of the mastermind and everything you can get out of it, and the experience and the support and the things that you can learn and the return on investment and all this sort of stuff, it doesn't detract that it is a bit of a wedge of an investment. Of course it is. Of course it is. I wouldn't have it any other way either, because when you've got skin in the game, you play the game, right? When you have paid for something and it makes you a little bit uncomfortable, then you want to really show up for yourself and really make the most of that investment. So what we've done is we've had a look at, how do we make these payments more manageable? How do we make it so the right people can come and get involved? And we've taken those payment plans for Be Inspired into 3. So you can pay in full if you want to pay in full, but you can also pay across 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months. And that makes a huge difference. Obviously, the difference between paying over 6 months and paying over 12 months is a massive difference that halves the amount of the monthly repayments. So of the monthly payments. So hopefully, I say hopefully, you may have seen a number of more post-its have gone up on the Wings of Destiny, because some of the pros have decided to upgrade off the back of this announcement, and also new people have decided to come and get involved. People that were, struggling to make it work can now make it work, which is just ace. So what I'm hoping to see over the next couple of days is some of you belters that have been sat with a very expensive splinter in your bum, because that expensive splinter will cost you more than the investment itself if you don't jump off the fence. I'm going to be talking to you over the next couple of days about things like returns on investment, about what our alumni get out of being a part of having done this work, not just being a part of the mastermind itself or being a part of the event itself, but actually what skills and what can you create from those skills off of the back of it. So we've had some alumni with some fantastic results. One of our alumni is joining us right now, who has literally just stepped out of the mastermind and into the world now as a pro speaker. Sarah Almond Bushell, come on in here. Hello, you.
Hello, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for giving up some time today. I'm always really humbled when our alumni, when we say, does anybody want to come and talk about their experience? And everybody goes, yes, we want to come and talk about our experience, because it's magic, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've never done anything like this before in my life. It was, phenomenal.
So Sarah, tell us a little bit about what it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Sarah Almond Bushell, and my business is The Children's Nutritionist. And I essentially help parents with the food and the feeding side of things, so that they can have meal times without drama, so that they know that they're doing the best job when they're raising their kids around food.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that, that's your business, and that's certainly your field of expertise as a clinician and working in the nutritional working in the nutritional dietitian industry and in that field. And I think that one of the interesting things is the discovery that you made by standing on that stage is actually there is a whole new wave of clients that you can service that aren't just children, right? That was a really interesting conversation that you and I just had in the last week, that it's actually opened up your scope of what you're able to deliver, right?
Yeah. So that was fascinating, so standing on the stage and talking to people, and I'm talking to them as parents or grandparents who have their own, children. And actually a lot of those people came to me and said, you know what, I remember being brought up that way around food, or I remember being told I had to eat all my broccoli before I could have my pudding, or I couldn't get down from the table or whatever. And you know, people started to use words like, listening to you has healed me. You know, I didn't realize that this was such a traumatic thing that I've been carrying around for years. And I was like, oh my God, you know, I'm focusing very much on the children, but actually there's this whole group of grown-ups out there who also need this help. So yeah, it's something for me to think about.
Definitely something for you to think about, and just that broadens that capacity of what it is that you're able to deliver. And the thing is, the beautiful thing about what you share, Sarah, is so impactful. It's so impactful, and that's what I love about Be Inspired, is that when you first start doing this work, we think, you know, let's think about our business, how we're going to grow our business. And then you go and take it one step further and think, actually, how can this change the face of the way that we parent? How does this change the face of the way we have interactions as grown-ups with food? How do we get rid of, like Tanya Ibbotson was talking about money stories, right? But we tell ourselves food stories, and this was just watching you on stage. Like, again, with all my speakers, I'm there with a notepad and pen. I'm taking notes as we're going through this I'm learning stuff from you, as well as you learning stuff from me holding the space for you. So, Sarah, tell us about why you decided to jump in with Be Inspired, because you didn't jump in the normal way.
I did not, no. So I had decided that so my business is about 4 years old, 4.5 years old. And I'd decided at the sort of tail end of last year that things were going really well, but I wanted them to be awesome. I wanted it to be epic. And I figured that the next step for me was PR. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get myself in the media. I've still got visions of myself sitting on the sofa on, you know, breakfast TV and all of that. And so I started working with our friend Jo Swan,
Jo Swan, and she is part of our delivery team as well for Be Inspired. Not only does she support everybody who's a part of Be Inspired with regards to press releasing, understanding PR, she actually has the media panel. So we bring in members of the national press to come and have conversations. So yeah, she's an absolute belter, friend of IATQB, and you'd been working with her, right?
I had, yeah, absolutely. And I'm the kind of person who, when I decide I'm going to do something, I'm not going to do it by halves. I'm going all in, and I'm going to nail it. Yeah. So I'd signed up for the VIP option, obviously, and went to this event. And you were there, Danny, as well. So
yeah, we were pitching to the press directly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I kind of buzzed off, or buzz is the wrong word, but bounced off other people's energy, and suddenly went from someone who just, you know, I'm not someone who prepares a lot, but I tend to just get up there and do it. And suddenly I was full of nerves. And so when it came to standing on that stage and talking to the press, I just thought, I don't actually know what I'm doing here. And then you got up and I was like, oh my God, she really knows what she's doing here. So it was like, there was that contrast. It was that chalk and cheese of, you know, someone who really doesn't know and someone who absolutely nailed it. And so it was at that point, and all the others there seemed to already know you. So
I'm like water, I get everywhere, aren't I? Once you know me.
Absolutely. So I was like, okay, I need to meet this person. Will you introduce me? Because it was a little bit like, oh, I've got a bit of a girl crush on that lady over there who's like just nailing it. So so that's how we met. And then I think I booked, you gave me one of your little books.
Closed mouths don't get fed. I think it was this one, which is a little book of speaking. You can actually, if anyone wants to get a hold of this, you can grab this on Kindle. You can get this on Kindle, and you can also get this on Audible. It's a little 45-minute listen, but it gives you all of the basics for getting speaking, which is great. But gave you a copy of that.
Gave me a copy of that. No, well, what happened was the event was in Leeds, and I live in Eastbourne on the south coast. Long journey. And I sat on the train and I read that little book from cover to cover, and I like dog-eared the corners, and I had bits highlighted, and I was like, oh God, you know, I've been speaking for 25 years to doctors, to patients, to parent groups, to kids, to teenagers, and there's so much I don't know.
Right.
And it just made me realize that, you know, one of the biggest problems we've got in healthcare is non-compliance. So people not doing what we know that they need to do in order to be healthy and get better.
Yes.
And when you work in the medical field, it can be kind of life-threatening in a way, and yet they still don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized that actually I needed to learn how to be persuasive.
Yeah.
And I'd also kind of learned that when I didn't go by the book and told them a little bit about me and my personal experiences and stuff like that, they were much more engaged and they were much more likely to do what I said.
Yeah.
So to see this all written down in a book, I was like, oh God, I need to learn this. I need to
get more intentional, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hence the phone call or the Zoom call we had about a week later, and then that was that, wasn't it?
And then that was it. You were in, and we'd already. So for anybody that's wondering about the process and how the process actually works, so we kick off a week today on Be Heard, and Be Heard is the standard program. So it's 8 weeks of learning. I teach everything that I know, and then you can have Be Heard Pro, where you can add a little bit of one-to-one with that, or you can extend out into the mastermind. So we'd already completed Be Heard by the time you jumped in.
Yeah.
But actually what works, we were talking to Rochelle Dallas about this morning, being able to go back and have our one-to-ones together, utilize that sort of one-to-one space to be really bespoke. But then I could say, all right, so what I want you to do is I want you to go and check out module number 6 of Be Heard. So everything that we do in the mastermind speaks to what we've already kind of learned and consolidated. So you came in a little bit later than everybody else, and became part of our siblinghood, sister and brotherhood, because we had boys this time. We had the gorgeous Tommy join us on our cohort. How did you find coming in a little bit later? How did you find that sort of dynamic? Was it scary? How was that?
Totally fine. So I think so all of the sessions that I hadn't been to, I like binge watched them. It was Christmas, wasn't it? I like binge watched them
like
over
Danny
Christmas.
Netflix. You must have been sick of me by the time we started.
Well, I felt as if I knew you, so that was good. But what was interesting is they weren't done as Zoom calls, were they? So actually nobody had really spoken to each other like face-to-face kind of thing. So when I came in, I didn't feel as if I felt as if we were all new, if that makes sense.
You were all new because we just extended out. So the way that Be Heard is delivered is in StreamYard within the group and then uploaded into members area, and everyone's got lifetime access and all of that sort of stuff. But to keep it really clean and really clear, I deliver it through StreamYard. And then in the mastermind, that's when we get together and we utilize the mastermind. So it's very much as much about everybody else's experience as it is about your individual experience. So how did you find the process of writing, of getting more intentional about what it is that you're delivering? How did you find that process? Was it interesting? Was it stuff you knew before? Was it stuff that you didn't know?
Yeah, so I think my nature is to teach, to give away loads and loads of information and probably overwhelm people by giving them a bit too much information.
Because you know a lot.
I do, but it's that's definitely a little bit of an imposter syndrome thing there. So I probably do.
You do. You know a lot.
But what I realized was just giving people the information is not it's not the right thing. You've got to give them things to think about.
Yes.
And get them to think in a way that makes them realize that actually perhaps the way that they've always been doing things might not actually be the best way.
Right.
And then planting the seed of what you actually want them to do. So I found that was probably one of the biggest things that I learned. And it took me ages to write my talk. I wrote it and then I had to go away, and then I came back to it again, thought, no, I don't want to put that bit in, it doesn't really make sense. And you talk about this golden thread running all the way through it, and so many times I went off that thread.
go off on a tangent and then bring it back. And when we're writing talks, we've got to be that kind of intentional about it. Is what you're saying. It's like when it's like a musical or a theatre piece, for example. Like, it is performance, speaking's performance, right?
Yes.
Everything that you do has got to speak to the outcome. And I think that's where a lot of enthusiastic amateurs slip up a little bit because they get so lost in, oh, what I'm saying is really valuable. Oh, it's really good. I'm liking the sound of my own voice here. I'm having a great time. And actually what they're not doing is they're not driving. So your talks and your mission is the bus, and you're the bus driver, and your job is to get as many people on that bus as possible, but they're only going to get on that bus if they feel safe.
Yeah.
And you can't go around showing everybody your license, like, oh, here's my license, look at all the credentials that I've got. Isn't really the way to connect. But is this person going to keep me safe? Is this person is this going to be an enjoyable journey? Is there in-flight entertainment? And it's that sort of stuff that we've got to think about when we're being intentional, instead of to coin a phrase of Brad Burton, one of my previous mentors, instead of huffing and puffing and saying nothing, it's making sure that everything that you say is intentional. Even what you do with your body is intentional when you're on stage. So to see you go from, I could never say that you're an amateur, because you're not in any way, shape, sense or form, but to go from good to great, to go from great to intentional has been a real joy to see as part of your process. As some people will come and work with me, they'll be brand spanking new and they'll have never done something like this before. Or they'll be like you, where they've done presentations, but the audience is switching up now. So it's not presenting your theories to sort of doctors that are in situ or clinicians that are in situ. It's to the people who we really want to be making the difference to themselves and their lives, which is parents, caregivers, themselves even. So switching up the way that you're talking as well, so that it doesn't feel quite so maybe formal, but still really authentic and really like this woman's in charge, like she knows her
absolutely beans. Yeah. And I think you said in one of the sessions really early on is confidence comes from being prepared. And actually that really struck me, because I'm not the kind of person who prepares. I just fly by the seat of my pants and I'll know I'll be fine. And that's why I'm quite happy, doing Q&A sessions and stuff like that, because I know I'll be able to answer, but that doesn't give the quality. And I think that's the key. I think, you said about being intentional, and it really is about being intentional, and that preparation is what makes you get there.
Right. So now that we're through the other side of it, so the event in a way kind of speaks for itself. It's why it sells out. It's why we've got to get a bigger venue. The event itself is magic, isn't it? Tell us a little bit about the venue, not the venue. Tell us a little bit about the event, and then we'll move on to the other side of it. So how did you find the event?
Absolutely loved it. So I think part of it, because we've had like 2 years of not seeing people.
Right, we got to hug in rooms, and then we all got COVID.
Yeah, we all got COVID, absolutely. But I've never been to anything like that before. So I've never been someone who's gone to networking groups or anything like that. And any events that I had been to have always been, dietitian or medical or very healthcare focused and very serious. Whereas this was inspiring, I would say. So I was the same with my notebook and my pen, and I came away having learned something from every single one of the people there, plus all the people in the audience who you sit down and have dinner with later, or you go for a drink with, and I just learned so much from so many people.
It's such an experience, and it is that edutainment space, isn't it? And I think that's what we create really, really well. But the thing that I forget to say is that really the event is the icing on the cake at the end. It's almost like a celebration of everything that you've been learning. And yes, we create all of those wonderful assets and the show reel and all of that sort of thing. And it's good, but it's the other side of it. So now we're through the other side of it. We're at that point where we're like, okay, so what now? So I want to ask you, Sarah, what now? What are your plans next?
Yeah. So I'd love to do a TEDx. That's definitely up there.
Our alumni have got form for grabbing TEDx's, so we're going to work on that next.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did have a little look actually in the local one to me is Brighton, and they had spaces, and I thought, that's interesting. So I might, I need to do that.
Yeah.
But also what I'd really like to do is have a real think about who I could share my message with that might influence people of the future. Perfect. So I'm thinking of things like, so yesterday I did a lecture at the University of Plymouth. Amazing, because I'm now getting into these students before they qualify, and then, can help the way that they
create those habits in the first instance. And was a paid gig, right?
It was, yes.
Yes, even better.
So so I'm trying to be a little bit more strategic. So
Perfect.
it might not pay the world, but it's actually going to be making a massive difference, because it's going to be educating
Absolutely.
people who are, our future, aren't they? So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's often a misconception with regards to becoming a speaker. A lot of people will see professional speakers, motivational speakers, and people like me, for example, think, oh, you go on stage, you get paid thousands. I want to get paid thousands to speak. It isn't necessarily about the getting paid. You can still get paid when you speak, as opposed to getting paid to speak. And I think it's thinking about that. So if you grow your audience, utilizing your superpower hidden in plain sight, your voice, if you are influencing the people of tomorrow, who then, you become then a figurehead for industry, you can then charge in different ways. You have trust tags that sit alongside, as well as your PR. Your talks become the part of your PR package. And you become much more valuable as a proposition, as opposed to, I'm going to go and speak on this particular stage and get paid X amount of money. So I think like us tweaking together as well, where does those returns come from? And whilst it's brilliant to get those paid gigs, it's brilliant. But then how do we work the room to become referable, for example? How do we do those sorts of things afterwards? So I'm really excited to see all of the things that come next for you, Sarah, my angel. How do we hang out with you if we want to know more about what it is that you do?
Yeah, brilliant. So I am on Instagram as the Children's Nutritionist. I'm also over on Facebook. I've got a lovely group, actually, which is a nice community, and that's the Children's Nutritionists community.
Perfect.
And my website is childrensnutrition.co.uk. Loads of free stuff on there.
Amazing. And if anybody is watching along right now and they've been sort of watching us do these lives, and they've watched us do the event, and they've watched us kind of talk together, and they're kind of sitting on the fence, they might think it's for them and they don't know if it's for them, what would you say to those people, particularly now there's like extended payment plans and stuff like that available?
Yeah, so without a shadow of a doubt, it was one of the best things I've done. So I would highly recommend it. For me, my motivation was I wanted to be able to position myself as a thought leader, and that's what it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just the outward perception of you, but how you think of yourself as well.
Yeah.
And I think that when you start showing up in that field, other people start to take notice. So it's just as much of an inward reckoning than it is saying it out loud and having other people sort of see it too. It's the space you take up space in the world now.
Yeah.
In not such a different way, but in that way where the dial has shifted, where you've got that different kind of belief, that next level belief in everything that you can achieve. And I'm so bloody proud of you. You belter. So thank you, Sarah, for joining us today. Please do go and follow our Sarah across on the socials. Go and get amongst her Facebook group, the Children's Nutritionist group.
Community.
And also community. Sorry, my darling. Or find her, Sarah Almond Bushell. She'll tell you where you need to go. Or on the Instagram as well. Sarah, I love you, and I'll speak to you in just a second anyway.
Yeah, brilliant. See you soon.
So that was Sarah Almond Bushell, everybody, talking to you about her Be Inspired experience. So once again, for anybody that's catching up, we have made available today extended payment plans for both Be Heard Pro and for Be Inspired. So you can pay over 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months on Be Inspired, and over 6 months on Be Heard Pro. So hopefully that's made getting amongst these programs even more like giving you more accessibility to it, giving you more of an ability to come and get involved with it. I want to work with as many of you as possible and share with you some of the successes that you can create as part of uncovering your superpower hidden in plain sight, your voice, to share your business and your mission so that you can reach more people and make more money. If we look at some of the wild successes that we've seen from some of our past alumni, and this is just in the space of this week, we've had TEDx talkers, we've got people being paid to speak in multiple four figures by incredible media agencies. We've got TV appearances on the BBC. You can catch Dipti Solanki tonight about 10:35, I think, on the BBC. Looking at everything that they are creating, all of these things are in your grasp too, and nobody starts ready. Every single conversation that I have before people decide to jump in, the words they say to me are, Danny, I don't feel ready. No one ever feels ready. That's why they come and work with me. We get you ready. We give you all the tools that you could possibly need to get you utilizing your voice to reach more people, to grow and scale your business and make yourselves more money and more impact in the world. If you want to know more about it, head on to imthequeenbee.co.uk/be inspired. Book in a call. We've got a discount code of SEPT22 that will take you £1,000 off the overall price as well. Book a call is all I will say before I leave you this afternoon. Get yourselves a call booked. I am available for the majority of Friday and also Thursday evening as well, and on and off through the day tomorrow. So please do give us a shout and we will get you sorted. And if you just need some information or you want a natter with me, you pick my brain about whether it's for you, I have absolutely got your back. All right, my darlings, enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you. Will I see you later on? I don't even know now. I don't even know my own name. I'm going to go live later on with a very, very, very special guest. I'm meeting them in Manchester ahead of one of their fantastic, incredible speaking gigs. So I will be sharing with you a cheeky little location live coming to you from Manchester a little bit later on this evening. Keep your peepers peeled for that. In the meantime, I'll see you later. Ciao.